Live from KTTC, this is News Center at 6.
And 95 mile an hour, and it took the old trees. I can't believe when you've got a tree 2, 3, 4 feet in diameter, and it just kind of knocks it down like so much matchsticks. You know, it's kind of like a bomb went off.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Several tornadoes hit the region, causing major damage.
One tornado hit Winona without warning, leaving those in the area only minutes to take cover. Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen is here to explain what phenomenon caused the late warning. But first, KTTC's Holden Kruzmark is surveying damage at Winona's largest cemetery. Holden, what can you tell us?
Well, Tom, Vivian, at 6:23 this morning, an EF1 tornado touched down here at the Woodlawn Cemetery right behind me. As you'll be able to see, the damage was still pretty significant, even though the tornado lasted only a minute. It was so significant, in fact, that Woodlawn Cemetery officials estimate it could be anywhere between $150,000 and $200,000 to recover from this tornado. The National Weather Service of La Crosse says winds peaked at about 95 miles per hour, with the tornado cutting a path about 352 yards in length and 80 yards in width. Just a minute, this event caused probably more damage to the cemetery than any other weather event since its opening way back in 1862. Winona County Emergency Management Coordinator Ben Klinger says they were weather aware this morning, but didn't expect this tornado.
What I've been informed talking to the National Weather Service is this was on the front end of a squall line of storms, and it spun up really quickly and dissipated just as fast. So they didn't even see it originally on radar until they got reports of damage and went back and looked, and then they saw the small signature of this on radar.
Woodlawn officials say most of the major monuments in the cemetery avoided damage. The cemetery is also a nonprofit, which Klinger says because of their designation, it won't qualify them for any state disaster relief aid, meaning it'll need a lot of help in the form of donations and grants. Klinger also urges the public to stay away from the cemetery grounds at this time until they can get all the damage cleaned up and all hazards removed. Now, Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen is joining us with more on all the wacky weather and the storm damage that we've taken in this area in the past 24 hours. Nick?
Thanks, Holden. And these events are very specific, and as you heard in that soundbite, they're almost impossible to detect in real time on satellite and radar because of how these tornadoes actually form. So right there is a radar image of early this morning at about 6:23. Right there in that X just south of Winona is right where that Woodlawn Cemetery is at. So the type of tornado that formed along this squall line is called a QLCS. That's a quasi-linear convective system, and these mesovortices form on the outer edge, the leading edge of that squall line. Now these vortices actually tend to build from the ground upward. So if you can at least imagine that upward motion there within the storm. Now normally they form on that leading edge, and typically they don't last very long. That's why it was only on the ground for about a minute, so it dissipated about as quickly as it at least developed. Now these are extremely, as I said, extremely hard to detect because of that upward motion. There's not actually a cloud-based rotation. Now we do have another chance for some strong to severe thunderstorms as we head towards your early Thursday morning and then once again your Thursday afternoon. So we're not out of the woods just quite yet. So we will still have some chances for some showers and thunderstorms coming up. And we had quite a bit of rainfall in the past 24 hours. We had upwards of about 2 to even 2.5 inches of rain in the past 24 hours here at the KTTC weather patio. We're just over 1.5 inches so far, and I think we could end up another inch to even 2 inches of rainfall in the next 24 hours. So here in Rochester, currently 73 degrees. We have those temperatures mid-70s, dew points mid-60s. I think tomorrow dew points right back near 70 degrees. Your 8-hour forecast tonight, for the most part, we look at the same type of setup that we had last night. So we want to be weather aware as we head towards early Thursday morning. And then once again for your Thursday afternoon, I do think we have another chance for potential isolated tornadic activity for tomorrow. 76 was the high then for your almanac today, just slightly above normal. We picked up just about over an inch early this morning. So more rainfall on the way. Flash flooding could become an issue as well, especially late tomorrow morning. We'll break down all those timing details come up in your full Weather Authority forecast. Vivian.
Thank you, Nick. And continuing our tornado coverage, Sioux Falls in South Dakota was hit a lot harder than we were.
The city saw 3 EF2 tornadoes late last night, causing residents to wake up to a bit of a chaotic scene, with wind speeds reaching nearly 125 miles an hour. Well, crews were out surveying damaged structures. Nearly 25,000 homes and buildings lost power after the storm. Crews have been working round the clock, rolling that number back now to around 8,000. City officials say last night's storm was extremely fast moving, starting in the southeast part of the city, and did not allow much time for dispatchers to sound those warning alarms. The last tornado to hit Sioux Falls, by the way, happened back in October of 1996. And this is a good reminder. Track our Weather Authority forecasts on the go. Download the free KTTC weather app, available now on Google Play and the App Store. A Chatfield man has pleaded guilty following an investigation into animal neglect at his property earlier this year.
Let's take you back to what happened. Jeremiah Smoglick owned 7 horses and claims all of them were very thin when he got them, with whip marks. But after just a couple of weeks of care, some were gaining weight. A complaint filed with the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office back in October of 2018 describes 4, quote, very thin horses living in a tiny round pen without a roof. Then in late March, deputies entered the property where they found 2 dead horses, and shortly after, Smoglick voluntarily signed over the horses to the Minnesota Animal Humane Society. Smoglick claims this would not have happened if his vet gave him accurate information on how to take care of his horses. He accepted the charges of animal torture and cruelty and will be sentenced on October 21st. And still ahead, honoring lives lost in 9/11, what some in Rochester are doing today.
Also tonight, another leadership shakeup at the Albert Lea Chamber of Commerce. We'll tell you what happened coming up.